Welcome to Aligned in Authenticity, Soul Conversations on Alignment, Intuition, and Living Authentically. If you're in a space right now where life feels off, maybe where things around you just don't seem to make sense, and your external circumstances don't match who you internally are, hear me when I say this. Where you are is not who you are. And today I want to talk about how to hold on to yourself when everything around you feels uncertain. Not too long ago, I was talking to one of my friends, and I recall we were having a conversation about the transition I'm currently going through. And I was sharing about some of the external things that have fallen away and changed for me during this transition period. And while sharing, I had a remembrance that whatever I'm going through and whatever my circumstances look like, they do not define who I am. And I actually ended up writing down in my journal, where you are is not who you are. And when it feels like everything around you is falling apart and collapsing, it can become normal for the mind to want to associate your external circumstances with who you are internally. And you'll start to feel things like, I used to feel confident, but now I don't know. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I can't do this. In society, something that we're taught from a very early age, that the external things, the money we have, the job we have, the relationship we're in, all of those things we are taught are symbols of the value and worth that someone possesses. And that is simply not true. And when you're going through a period where everything is falling apart, the mind wants to instantly associate how your external circumstances look to the value and the worth that you possess. They are completely separate and different. And when you're in the transition, there can be a lot of self-doubt, a lot of frustration, and a lot of questioning yourself because things may not be moving at the speed that you thought they would. They might not be coming to fruition in the way that you thought they would. And a lot of things may just be falling away and getting removed from your life. And as I think back to my past transitions and the current one I'm in, there's a pattern there. And there's this space where it feels like everything around you is just leaving and falling away. It feels like everything is collapsing. And during that period, it's easy to feel like you're falling into this abyss of nothingness that is full of uncertainty, lack, doubt, and it's absent of a lot of the relationships, a lot of the external things that maybe you used to have. And so it can feel like if you don't have the titles, if you don't have the money, if you don't have the external things that used to define you, then who are you? And to make matters more complicated, the people around you, sometimes out of good intentions, sometimes out of their own conditioning and thoughts and feelings, may start to impose what they think your life should look like or what they think success is upon you. So you may get questions like, well, what are you doing next? And why would you leave your job? Why would you break up with that person? They were a good person. Because those people may not understand your internal journey. But during this period, you are not what's falling away. And that was the remembrance I had, is that despite everything that was falling away and changing externally, internally, the core of who I am was not shifting. And I will say the same to you. Despite the way your external life may look right now, despite everything that may be falling away, who you are has not changed. Your job is not who you are. The relationship was not who you are. The money you have is not who you are. The external things you possess, that is not who you are. Who you are the gifts and the talents that are inherent in you that you bring to the table. Things like your creativity, your intellect, intuition, wisdom, strength, courage, perseverance, determination, compassion. All of those things are parts of who we are, and those things don't change as external circumstances do. The mistake that people can make is that I'm failing, and it's not that you're failing, it's just that right now things may not be working out the way you thought they would. Or I'm lost. You're not lost right now. You're just in the midst of a transition, and it feels like you're lost because things are unclear and uncertain. But step by step, you're navigating a path that isn't familiar, and that you've never been down before. So your value does not fluctuate with whatever situation you are going through right now. And I'm going to say that again. Your value does not change based on the external circumstances and situations that exist around you right now. As you go through a transition, there is a point at which everything around you must collapse because it was built upon your old way of being. It was built upon your old way of thinking. It was built upon your old way of functioning and the things that you used to have around you. And those things need to fall away and or change in order to match the expansion and the growth that is happening internally right now. So for a while, the external doesn't match the internal because your external reality has to catch up to your internal shifts. It feels like you're falling apart, but you are actually rebuilding. And everything that was misaligned is falling away. So everything that's aligned has space to come into your life. And so what you will find is that once this period is done, things will look very differently, but they'll be more aligned, more authentic, and greater ease as you step into the next phase in the next chapter of your life. It can be very difficult. This period, this time, this space is what I call the meantime, that space in between who you were and who you're becoming. And in that space, it gets lonely. Because, like I said, you'll find that relationships fall away, jobs that no longer were aligned. You may change career, change professions, or just change positions. You know, external things that you may have had. You'll hear a lot of people as they go through their transition talking about cars being repossessed, houses going into foreclosure, all kind of things that in the moment feel like they are life shattering. But the reality is that all those things are happening so that in their place a rebuilding can occur that is able to sustain and carry you to your next space, your next chapter, your next becoming in your life. So you are becoming more aligned and not less aligned during this period. And remember that this season is not meant to break you. It is actually revealing who you are. Although your situation may be shifting, your value, your light, and your abilities have not left you. they are still a part of who you are. So if you're in a space right now where things feel uncertain, where things aren't working, where life feels unstable, don't let that make you question who you are. Where you are may be in flux and it's constantly changing all the time, but who you are is not. Hopefully, this conversation resonated for you. If it did, take some time to reflect on it, sit with it, um, and apply it within your life and within whatever you may be going through. And then join me again next week for another conversation.